Welcome back to the night class once again. Today we're doing a little translations of sine and cosine functions. We're not going to do much graphing, but we are going to talk about the equations themselves. So we're starting off here with the phase shift, phase shift of sine and cosine functions. And basically what the phase shift does is it moves the graph left and right, You can find the phase shift by doing negative c over k. And here is our c that we're talking about, and here is the k that we're talking about. A is still the amplitude that we've discussed already. C and k are what you use to figure out the phase shift, If c is greater than 0, the shift will be to the left. If c is less than 0, the shift will be to the right. So greater than 0 means c is positive, it's going to move left. If c is less than 0, it will move right. For the vertical shift of the sine and cosine function, that is basically moving it up and down, And the vertical shift is simply h, That's all there is to it. H is your vertical shift. So that's how far it goes up and down. And again, if h is more than 0, it's a positive number, it goes up. If h is a negative number, less than 0, it will go down. Your midline, which is that line that goes through the very middle of your sine or cosine graph, is y equals h. That is the midline. So we're going to do a couple of problems here. The first problem, I'm going to give you the equations, and you have to state the four things. You have to state the amplitude, the period, the phase shift, and the vertical shift. And then for the last couple, we're going to go the other way. They're going to give you those four things, and you have to write the equation. So no graphing involved. If the problem says to graph on your classwork, just ignore that. All you have to do is state the amplitude, period, phase shift, and vertical shift, and write the equation. So to start off, we've got number 8 here. That says for the amplitude, I'll just call it A. Amplitude's very simple. It's just your 2 right there. Remember the amplitude is always positive. So it is 2. Your period, if you've forgotten from the last section, the period equals 2 pi over k, which in this case, k is right there. It is also 2, so 2 pi over 2 would reduce 2 pi. Your phase shift, like we said, is negative c over k. So c for this problem, here, let me just write them above it. There's A, there is k, there's c, and there's h, So phase shift will be negative pi, which is c, over k, which is 2. Boom. There it is, And as you can see, your c is positive, so that is going to be to the left, So period, amplitude is 2, period is pi. Your phase shift would be negative pi over 2 to the left. And finally, for your vertical shift, it's also very simple. It's just what h is. So it is negative 5. And since that's negative, it is going down. And that's all there is to it. Very, very simple. So number 9, your phase or your amplitude. This is written, notice it's kind of written out of order. Your h is actually first here. There's your A, your K, and your C, Now, understand, theta over 2, so that means your K is 1/2. It's 1/2 times theta is theta over 2, Your C is negative pi over 4. Your amplitude is 1, or your A is 1/2, and your H is 3, Again, your amplitude is always positive, so 1/2. Your period is 2 pi divided by k, so 2 pi divided by k is 1/2. You flip that and multiply it, you will get 4 pi. Your phase shift, negative c over k. So that's negative pi over 4 divided by your k, which is 1/2. So that's ugly, but it ends up being positive pi over 2. And that is to the right, shifts to the right. Again, if your phase shift is positive, it's right. Or you can think about it, if your C is negative, it goes right. So whichever way you want to think about it. And then finally, your vertical shift is H, so it's just 3. And since it's positive, it goes up. So that's all you have to do for those. Not really much work to show. Your amplitude and your vertical shift, there's no work to show. But your period and your phase shift, you have to plug them into the little formulas there. Okay, 10 and 11, we're just going the reverse of what we just did. They want us to write the equation, and they give us the amplitude, the period, the phase shift, and the vertical shift. So we're going to start off. We know the easy stuff, so we have y equals, remember, we're going to do plus or minus the amplitude, because we don't know if it's positive or negative. We just know amplitude is always positive, but in the equation we don't know if it's positive or negative. Okay, plus or minus 20. All right, we're doing the sine function here, so sine of k theta. So to get k, we have to come over here and do a little work. Our period, remember, is 2 pi divided by k, and so our period for this case is 1 equals 2 pi times k. We switch those, k equals 2 pi. So 2 pi times theta. Okay, c is your phase shift, so your phase shift, here, let me come over here. Come over here, your phase shift, this is the other one we're going to have a little work to do, is negative c over k. Now, our phase shift in this one is actually pretty easy, so it's 0. So really, you can write it all down if you want to, but that just means c is 0. So there's no c. So it's just 2 pi theta. You don't put plus or minus anything, because c, the equation, remember, is a sine parentheses k theta plus c plus h. So there's no phase shift, so there's no c. Okay, so we'll just leave it just like that. And your vertical shift is 100, so we just put plus 100. Boom, that's all there is to it. Okay, so again, not much work to show except for figuring out your k and your c. You know your a and your h. They're easy. All right, 11, I'm just going to write it out one more time. A cosine k theta plus c plus h. That is your formula, and you're just plugging in. Okay, so I know we're going to have y equals plus or minus, your amplitude is 0.6, so 0.6 cosine of, let's figure out what our k is. Again, period is 2 pi over the k. And so my period for this one says the period is 12.4. So, 12.4 equals 2 pi over k. And we switch those, so k will equal 2 pi over 12.4. And you can reduce that. That would be pi divided by 6.2 if you just divided both of them by 12. Or excuse me, by 2. Divide both top and bottom by 2, you get pi over 6.2. So k is ugly, but that's what it is, pi over 6.2. And of course you have times theta. Let's figure out what our c is. Okay, so our phase shift is what we use to get c. Negative c over k. So our phase shift is negative 2.13. Equals negative c over k we just figured out was pi over 6.2. So we're going to multiply this by pi over 6.2 and multiply the left by pi over 6.2. Okay, and these cancel. Okay, top on bottom, and in your calculator you can put that, or we can just leave it. Heck, we'll just leave it like that. That's going to be negative 2.13 pi over 6.2 equals negative c. Now, don't forget your negative. We don't want negative c. We want positive c. So basically, we're just going to divide those by negative 1, and we'll get positive 2.13 pi over 6.2 equals c. And that is a very, very, very ugly answer, but that is our c. So plus 2.13 pi over 6.2. And then finally our vertical shift is the easy part, plus 7. So there you go. There's your 4 examples, 2 of each type of problem you're going to be doing. Again, I'm not sure. I believe you're just doing, oops, I went too far. I believe you're just doing the odds that I circled there, and so good luck to you, and hopefully you will have a good time working those out. Let's make sure, hey, we got those right. I told you it was ugly, but that's what the problem was. All right, y'all have a great day. We will see you next time, and as always, stay above the line till then. Love y'all.